right now at 11. No hands on the wheel. What new data reveals about the safety of self-driving cars. And later,
I don't know why anybody would do anything like that.
hundreds of trees cut down by a local lawbreaker dubbed the Lumberjack, leaving officials in Gresham with a hefty bill.
We need to catch this person. We need to end this.
But first, tonight, problems keep piling up for Clackamas County. How some of the unofficial vote tallies they reported were all mixed up. Your news starts now.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko, and we are once again talking about Clackamas County, where it appears they are still counting votes, though the trouble tonight seems to be what they've been doing with those numbers, at least one set of results in particular. Let's bring in Alma McCarty now. And Alma, you've been in touch with the Secretary of State's office, who essentially said officials in Clackamas got some of the unofficial results wrong. I mean, how does that even happen?
Well, David, it is just one thing after another, isn't it? So let's just start with those unofficial results. And this has to do with how Clackamas transfers numbers to the state. Its software hasn't been working all along. So in this case, the error had to do with a state legislative seat, the counts going to the wrong candidates. It's been spotted and fixed, and in the end, it didn't impact the official results. Want to stress that there, though it's just the latest blunder, and we're not done yet.
It's been a long, arduous process to count votes in Clackamas County.
I didn't respond to this with the urgency that I should have, and I realize that. But I still know that we will have the counting done on time.
After missing a printing error, then sending ballots out to voters, the elections office had to duplicate and process tens of thousands of ballots by hand. They did test the machines that count them, but with sample ballots from a different printer, not the real deal.
A test turned out perfect, but it was after that, the same morning, that we started putting ballots through the scanners from the printer, and that's when we noticed the problem.
The ballots rejected from voting machines were then carefully copied onto new ballots by teams of elections workers. Painstaking work done in pairs from different political parties, checking each other's work while observers looked on.
My vote counts.
It's taken a staggering 3 weeks to reach 98% of the votes tallied. County Clerk Sherry Hall, who at one point during this process tried to hide from our cameras, promised it would get done by Thursday. As of Friday night, we were still waiting.
And tonight, I've emailed, called, refreshed the website. Nope, it doesn't look like they're done yet. As for what comes next, well, by law, the election has to be certified by June 13th. The county will do an audit, and because of how complicated this all has gotten, so will the state. David?
And I jest a little bit here, but I wonder how long that is going to take. Thank you, Alma. Well, let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines. 3 people have been injured following a stabbing at a hospital in Southern California. Investigators say a man stabbed a doctor and 2 nurses at the Encino Hospital Medical Center that's in Los Angeles. Of course, there is a lot of extra sensitivity given the recent shooting in Tulsa. In this case, police say a SWAT team arrested the suspect after he holed up in a room for about 4 hours. Police say he had previous run-ins with the law. Authorities add there was no evidence that the man knew his victims. Also tonight.
As a 30-year public safety professional, a responsible gun owner, and as a husband and a father, I'm calling for action.
In honor of National Gun Violence Awareness Day, the Multnomah County Sheriff Mike Reese released this video with a plea for new gun laws. Among them, he is asking for a ban on high-capacity magazines and expanded background checks. And that comes a day after President Biden asked for really much of the same in the wake of several mass shootings. And all lanes are now open on Highway 217 after a dump truck crashed into the Hall Boulevard overpass earlier today. The driver, who was headed southbound, was rushed to the hospital. Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue says a construction crew helped shift the dump truck mostly out of the way. No word on the cause or the driver's condition. Well, to an update now about substance abuse treatment in Oregon. Now, we have reported extensively on how the state is last in the country, dead last per capita when it comes to access to treatment. And we've also told you about Measure 110, which decriminalizes small amounts of drugs like heroin, cocaine, and meth. And this is critical, it also redirects millions of dollars in tax revenue from Oregon's legal marijuana industry to substance abuse treatment services. But here is the problem. State auditors found that only a fraction of the millions of dollars earmarked for treatment centers have actually been sent out. And so it's a drip down that leaves those who need treatment without. In response to the audit, the group who is overseeing the rollout of those funds said this.
I feel that these challenges can be overcome and corrected with deliberate, intentional, focused effort and courageous, solution-oriented conversations.
Okay, we'll let you interpret what he just said there. The full report from the auditor is going to be released in the fall. Developing tonight, staffing issues are causing hours-long waits to Portland's non-emergency line. I mean, so much so the solution right now, they're saying, is for people to hang up and then call back another day. The Portland Bureau of Emergency Communications says an unusually high number of sick workers on Friday meant that more resources had to be put toward answering 911 calls. And we get that. We need to be clear. 911 is obviously the priority. Again, this long delay is for non-emergency calls like certain police reports and the like.
Because we focus on 911, which is why people will be waiting so long on non-emergency. But because we have fewer call takers available today, it does mean 911 is waiting a bit longer than normal.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, callers are being asked to call back or, if possible, file their reports online. Staffing issues, by the way, have been an ongoing problem at the agency. It says it is still working to hire and train more people, but that takes time. A KGW investigation in 2021 found 911 calls do not get answered fast enough in Portland compared to other places, and you can find that whole story on KGW.com. Well, let us take you to the city of Gresham, which needs your help catching the person they have now dubbed the Gresham Lumberjack. I mean, the name almost makes him sound like a good guy, right? But he or she has destroyed hundreds of trees along a popular trail. And as Christelle Kumwe found out firsthand, frustration is mounting along with the bill.
5 miles of the Springwater Trail runs through Gresham city limits, but for the past year, city officials say they've had a big problem. Someone just won't stop cutting trees down along the trail for no apparent reason.
The person has been named the Gresham Lumberjack.
Frustrated, sad, angry. It's really frustrating.
And so we've got these cuts.
Frustrated city officials say the weapon of choice for the Gresham Lumberjack appears to be a handsaw.
We've got big trees, small trees, everything in between being either completely cut down and just left here, or partially cut down, which is a hazard. There's no rhyme or reason. Nobody's taking the wood with them. They're just leaving it on the ground, and they're leaving it all over the trail.
The Gresham Lumberjack has been added since last August. To date, close to 100 trees in a 1.5 mile stretch of the trail have been destroyed, costing over $100,000 in damages in restoration efforts.
And the big impact is losing those trees that are 40 to 60 years old that you can't get back immediately.
Mike Wallace, Gresham's ecologist, says they're now turning to the community to help identify the person.
They see somebody in the open space cutting or doing something or looking suspicious within that environment, just to be cognizant of what's going on.
Oh yeah, we will definitely keep our eyes open to see if we see anything.
Alina and Susan often walk the trail here together.
Part of the appeal is having these nice trees in the shade, and then because then it's a good habitat for all the animals. So if you cut down all these trees and destroy it, then it just ruins it for everybody.
I don't know why anybody would do anything like that, especially to cut the wood and then just leave it there.
They're hoping this lumberjack is stopped sooner rather than later.
We need to catch this person. We need to end this, and I would invite people to come out and use the trail, because we need more eyes out here.
Anyone with information is asked to contact Gresham Police at their non-emergency number, or they can also report it on the city's website. In Gresham, Christelle Kumwe, KGW News.